Mega Mart Mandeville Customer Appreciation Outside Broadcast. Be part of the Mega Broadcast with me, Darren Mitchell, Friday, December 19, 2025 at Mega Mart Mandeville from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Mega Mart, best value by far.
Book a virtual appointment with a representative using Sagicor eConnect to discuss your life insurance or Sagicor Lifestyle Approved Retirement Scheme. The time by Sagicor eConnect is
7 a.m. and it's now time for the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the award-winning show, The Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app, the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, considering U.S. Venezuela tensions sparked by the latest sanctions and military pressure. Will there be peace this Christmas for the Caribbean? And in the second watch, good news we may have missed in 2025. For our social media question, we ask, how has this year changed how you see Christmas? Share your responses on our Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-997-3125, using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later in the program, but first, here's I quote.
All right, good morning, good morning. So today's I quote says, joy grows where love is practiced.
Just before this particular show program started, wasn't there a song being played by you, Mr. Dyer?
Mm-hmm.
Joy in my soul.
Look at that.
Joy in my soul. Good morning, Jekyll.
Good morning. Whitney Houston and the Georgia Mass Choir.
Okay. Thank you. The first watch. We'll be back after this break.
Ready for the Love Restores concert happening Saturday, December 20 at Emancipation Park? Love 101 presents a benefit concert. Yep, the Love Restores concert at 5 p.m. for a time of worship and praise. Featuring Lubert Levy, Petra Kay, Chris Malachi, Rhoda Isabella, Ryan Davis, Perpetual Sounds of Praise, Audia Spencer Brown, Minister Dwight Positive Campbell, dances by White Cat's Soul of Dance, Genesis Praise Squad, and Jai Kingston. And our very own DJ Rebirth will be spinning the beats all day. Winter niceness. Come hang with the Love 101 announcers. Meet, greet, and shop all day. Then stay with us for the worship beginning at 5 p.m. You're invited to take non-perishable food items or donations in cash, and we'll put it all together for our trip to the West. Don't miss Season Splendor, Saturday, December 20, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll have lots of booths with many items on sale, and you can do your Christmas shopping. Then stay with us for the Love Restores concert at Emancipation Park, Saturday, December 20, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Admission is free. Love Restores, presented by Love 101 in association with Friends and Crosslinks. Don't you miss it.
Every Every deposit you make with iSave is more than just saving money. It's a key to winning a brand new home. That's right. Every $25,000 you deposit into your iSave account is another chance to win big. Win quarterly cash prizes of $150,000 or the grand prize, a brand new home of your own. Keep saving every month and your entries keep growing just like your balance. And all entries stay in for the grand draw. Open your PM iSave account today. PM iSave is the key to your winning future. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Conditions apply.
Are you confident that you are the legal owner of your property? Take action to secure your property ownership. Get a registered certificate of title and become the legal owner of your property. To register your property and obtain a certificate of title, you will need to provide a tax registration number (TRN), a valid government issued identification, a survey diagram, documentation to prove ownership, up-to-date property tax certificate, the names, addresses, and occupations of 2 neighbors over the age of 50 who are not family members and can give a declaration on your behalf. Proof that you have been in open, undisturbed, and undisputed possession of the property for 12 years or more. For further information on registering your property and obtaining a certificate of title, contact the National Land Agency at 876-750-5263 or 876-946-5263. Email asknla@nla.gov.jm or message us at WhatsApp at 876-418-5089. The National Land Agency. One agency, one goal to serve you better.
Run, triple grease cleaning power, it's foam, lasts longer. Run, triple grease cleaning power, you scrub less often. Run, triple grease cleaning power.
Find it at a great price in your favorite store or supermarket. Formula with 3 grease cleaning agents versus another dishwashing soap of similar price.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now, a cloud of geopolitical tension is building. The United States has placed sanctions on persons related to Nicolas Maduro. And in relation to an item of news from Al Jazeera in the Explainer, there's a headline that reads, U.S. slaps sanctions on Maduro family, Venezuelan tankers. What we know, U.S. President Trump imposes new sanctions on Maduro family members as he ups pressure to oust Venezuelan president. It reads, among other things, the United States announced sanctions on 3 nephews by marriage of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and 6 Venezuela flagged oil tankers and shipping firms linked to them amid ongoing political conflict between Washington and Caracas. And the United Nations has urged restraint amidst these tensions, and the U.S. naval forces are said to be active in the Southern Caribbean. There is newly installed military radar, it is said, at Trinidad and Tobago's airport, and the rhetoric in relation to these tensions are intensifying. Could geopolitical friction spill over into our seas and into the skies of the Caribbean? Well, arguably it's already in the seas. We have as our guest to have a discussion about this very important topic. Reverend Dr. Patrick Tanis, banker, policymaker, international affairs commentator, and he's out of Barbados. And we also have Reverend Dr. Ralston Nemard, Anglican priest, writer, author, international affairs commentator, Reverend Dr. Nemard, Reverend Dr. Tanis. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Stokeley, and good morning to your viewers.
I would dare to start with Reverend Dr. Tanis because you're a little bit closer to the scene of where things are at, sir. Barbados, you're along that corridor there, which is a little bit closer to Venezuela, sir. And not picking on you because of your proximity, but how do you see all of this in terms of We're now in December, getting towards the end of the year. Are you hoping that things will remain or actually become calm? Because arguably they're not calm at the moment. Or are you seeing all of this?
Yeah, good morning, Stoke. First of all, you're a Bajan with a Jamaican name and a Jamaican vibe, you know what I mean? Blessings from Barbados, your other land, man, you know. And
No, as a Bajan man, I can't stand you.
Thank you. Sending warm
You
love
must
to
give
my
them the
Jamaican
gap, man. I love you a long time. I have more than one accent, I do.
Yeah, man. You're a Shafet man, you know.
Man, I go there all the time, man.
Amen. Well, look, from Barbados, our perspective is very clear. We want to see peace. We want peace in a long-term basis. But let me mention, right, that when in 2018, we have to remember the facts. In 2018, Maduro had strategic bombers from Russia fly, strategic nuclear-capable bombers from Russia fly to Venezuela. Why would you fly strategic nuclear-capable bombers to Venezuela? Why, right? So if we are a zone of peace, we can't just be jumping up saying that the United States is being accused left, right, and center and not seeing that also after that, Maduro made a claim against our CARICOM neighbor. Our CARICOM neighbor.
You mean Guyana?
Claiming 2/3 of Guyana. Those two acts are acts of war, right? Now we want peace in the Caribbean.
You're seeing a connection between what happened then and what's happening now?
That's clearly a connection, right? It's clear. It's as clear as crystal. You cannot, during the reign of any president of the United States, say that they have ignored Venezuela. If you want to dial back all the way to President Kennedy, his first international trip was to Venezuela. President Kennedy, right? And don't forget, Kennedy in 1962, he surrounded Cuba and said, listen, you're not gonna have nuclear missiles here. He said that to the Russian leaders. Well, then it was the Soviets, right? So here, and let me also mention this. Venezuela has a unique relationship with the United States because the only country on this planet that has the same materials on their currency, right? The bills or the handheld currency.
Yeah.
That has the same materials, which is classified as far as the Secret Service. The United States has that with Venezuela. It's the only place that has it, right?
I'm not sure if I'm clear on what you just said. Can you be a little bit clearer? Material on the currency.
Yeah, let me say this, right? From the United States, the Secret Service protects the president and the currency, right? Those two things, which are very strategic. The only country that has the same material, in other words, the US dollar has a classified material that is the actual US dollar, the bills, right? The only
what is used to make the bills? What is used to make the bills?
Yeah, the US bills, the actual bills, the $100 bill, the $2 bill, the $1 bill, it's a classified material, right? In other words, only the
Venezuela uses that same classified material to make their currency?
Venezuela is the only country on the planet that has been allowed by the US to have the same materials on their currency, right?
Oh.
So the founder of the Exxon Valdez company, which is the largest oil company on the planet, which is Esso, he was a Venezuelan. And actually he went to school in Barbados, right? These are things that we need to know. He went to school right here in Barbados, right? And then he went on to form the Exxon Valdez oil company, huge company across the planet, right? So let me say this, right? The hegemony of the United States, the Monroe Doctrine, which speaks to a safe zone in the Caribbean. It speaks to that very clearly, right? You're not going to see a United States president ignore strategic nuclear bombers flying straight from Russia with the ability to test run a Venezuelan landing and take off. That's if you're a military man, if you're trained by the cadets or corps or whatever, right? You cannot ignore that as a military man. So what I'm saying is that if we are a zone of peace and you have a strong neighbor who has F-16 jets, Su-35s, strategic, capable
Reverend Dr.
jets.
Tannis, only because of time, we're upon a break already, and I was hoping to hear a little bit from Reverend Dr. Ross and Ahmad, at least before we head to the break. But I realized that you were saying quite a bit, and I did not want to interrupt you, sir. But hold that thought for a second. Listeners and viewers, we'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Always a good move when you're moving with Grace.
Mama work hard, for real. She do the most to send me and my brother go school. So, the dream was always to go to university. Well, I fulfilled 2 dreams with 1 Jane Bank savings plan, you know. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Save so you can make the park, travel park, graduate like a star.
Stop wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are doing the first watch at the moment, considering U.S. Venezuela tensions sparked by the latest sanctions and military pressure. Will there be peace this Christmas for the Caribbean? That is the first watch topic we're doing now. And our guests are Reverend Dr. Patrick Tannis and Reverend Dr. Ralston Ahmad. Reverend Dr. Patrick Tannis from out of Barbados, of course. You are making some comments just before the break, sir, in relation to what are we seeing likely to expect in this precious month of December. Normally persons are looking forward to peace and tranquility, but there are wars and rumors of war in the Southern Caribbean. Venezuela, you're making a couple of points about a number of things, and you raise the Monroe Doctrine, etc., etc., etc. Before we bring in Reverend Dr. Ralston Ahmad, please complete your thoughts, sir. Reverend Dr. Patrick Tannis.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that, you have a people, Venezuela, who seem to be the victims of Maduro's doctrine, right? The U.S. did not invade Venezuela. We don't want the U.S. to have a fight down here in the Caribbean. We don't want that. Let me be clear, right? What we see as the problem is that Maduro's policies are very aggressive toward his neighbors, right? And he is the one who, in my opinion, has destabilized the region. I don't think that the majority of Venezuelan people, and because I have questions about the ethics of the last elections, right? That's my particular concern. And my concern is, therefore, it has now reached the attention of that big neighbor or cousin, the United States. Because look, all of us know that the United States has had elections where people like President Obama, who looks like us, and he went to Jamaica, right? They have elections where they elect who they want, right? I don't see a problem with the United States. I don't. What I do see is a problem with, if you're going to take somebody who's a big guy in the gap where you live and you taunt them, they're going to respond. And I think that that's what's happened here with Maduro. Maduro has been taunting the Caribbean, and now that there's a problem, because I remember they told him, please do not invade Guyana, and he still was taunting there. And now he's caught the attention of the U.S. with these different allegations, which I cannot say are true or false, right?
You mean narco-terrorism?
The narco-terrorist stuff, right? But what we do know is that he has an AK-103 gun factory, which produces 100,000 assault weapons for guerrilla warfare, right, in his country. And that's not good for the Caribbean. So there are a heap of things that are there that are not conducive to a peaceful environment in the region. And on that note, I want to give my colleague a chance to respond, but I think if we are going to be using the Arrow-Barra doctrine and Arrow-Barra, as you know, is one of our famous leaders.
Yes.
He said this, right? And I'm going to close on this, right? Pause on this, I should say, that you want to be friends of all but satellites of none. But if you're going to be a truth teller, you have to say, well, look, these aggressive actions by Maduro are not consistent with the Venezuelan people, but they seem to be consistent with Maduro. So it seems like if the Venezuelan people do not want war either, CARICOM people, Venezuelan people do not want war. But if Maduro continues to stoke the beast, he's going to get a response. That's what we're all afraid of will happen this Christmas.
Interesting. Reverend Dr. Ralston, I don't know if you have thoughts of your own which diverge, which are not the same as Reverend Dr. Patrick Tannis. If you do, feel free to express them. But in terms of peace in this month of December here in the Caribbean, in light of the tensions between Venezuela and the United States, sir, your concerns, your thoughts?
Yes, it's a very worrying situation, because it seems as if the U.S. is on the verge of perhaps invading Venezuela, and they may do it just around this time of the year. When President Trump was to give the address yesterday to the nation, I really thought that he might have been announcing that they have started strikes against Venezuela.
Well,
because
if you can pause for a moment, Reverend Dr. Nemar, not because I'm deliberately interrupting you for interrupting your sake, but among the items of news that I'm seeing here in the Gleaner, although it is dated yesterday, the 17th of December, it reads, U.S. lawmakers reject resolutions to limit Trump's campaign against Venezuela and drug cartels. It goes on to read, Republican lawmakers in the United States House of Representatives rejected a pair of Democratic-backed resolutions that would have put a check on President Donald Trump's power to use military force against drug cartels and the nation of Venezuela. The Republican Party has the majority in the House. Continue, Reverend Dr. Nemard, in light of additional bit of information from the news.
Yes, and therein lies a problem, because one of the big questions that I have, and problems really that I have with the U.S. approach, is the vastly unilateral approach that the country has taken, thinking that, especially, let's say that there were narco concerns, which I believe there are, but you cannot just willy-nilly blast, boats out of the sea without any clear recognition that you're even killing narco traffickers. The unilateral approach that America has taken, consistent with Trump's belief that only he can fix it, creates a problem. There has not been any real consultation with CARICOM or any other partners in the Latin American region to even say that there is any responsibility on the part of the United States to realize what the tensions that they're causing and what could result out of any direct military conflict with Venezuela. There has not been any consultation. The only country that Trump seems to be talking to with any regularity is Trinidad and Tobago. And it is because Trinidad and Tobago satisfies their particular strategic posture if there should be a war. But he has no respect for CARICOM. He has no respect largely for Congress, even though the slim majority in the House has done what they just said there, Stokeley, what the news you just gave us. But he has basically no respect for the legislature. He's just on a one-man mission. And this cannot be right. it's not going to turn out right. And it's going to make it worse for us here in the Caribbean.
Well, according to that item of news I read earlier on, in terms of what was published in Al Jazeera, it is indicated that members of the Maduro family, there have been sanctions announced against them, and there are 6 Venezuela flagged oil tankers and shipping firms linked to them as well that sanctions have been made against. And of course, the news that we get in relation to Venezuela and the United States, every now and then we hear more news that is a little bit concerning from whichever end you look at it. So
Very true.
I don't know, Reverend Dr. Nimrod,
Yes,
Reverend Dr. Tanis, you were trying to come in. If you could hold that thought for a second, I just wanted to complete the interaction here with Reverend Dr. Nimrod on this point.
Sure.
Reverend Dr. Nimrod, in terms of where this might end up going, because we were hearing at first narco-terrorism, then we are now hearing about oil. Not saying that they're saying that that is the reason, because they haven't said so. But we have heard bits and pieces of news about oil, etc., etc., etc. It seems to be really a developing story. I don't know what your thoughts are there.
Right, it is developing, but it is also the reasons that are being given for engagement in any conflict are kind of spotty. There's no direct indication that has been given. If it is going to be narco, well, let's deal with that. Okay. If it is going to be, the removal of Maduro, then deal with that. I think that they would have a very strong moral.
When you say removal of Maduro, that's a regime change issue, and
yes.
The United States have been criticized heavily for engaging in regime changes around the world.
Maduro does not deserve to be there, and already he has. Trump has ordered the FBI.
So you are of the view that Maduro really should not be the president of Venezuela?
Sorry?
Are you of that view? I'm not saying you should. Are you of the view that Maduro ought not to be the president of Venezuela?
Because the way in which he got there, I mean, it's quite clear that your views on the opposition were compromised in his favor, and he's carried out a lot of repression inside Venezuela, and and so I think they have enough moral accountability on the part of the United States to make sure that that kind of regime does not stand. So I have no problem with that, but it is just the approach, the unilateral approach. I would like to see a more consultative approach, especially with the members of CARICOM and so on, so that we can all be part of something going forward, instead of one just unilaterally deciding that this is what one ought to do, and you're not even listening to your own legislature, nor to any voice in Latin America. It's just about you, which is Trumpian. We understand that, but
there's so much to unpack there, because again, the whole matter of regime change and Reverend Dr. Patrick Tanis, you were coming in. Well, before you comment, sir, what are your views on the opposition leader there? Her name is Machado. She recently got a Nobel Peace Prize.
I mean, look at her, her lack of ability to have freedom. She can't have free movement in her own country. She had to spend 16 hours in a clandestine operation just to go and get a Nobel Peace Prize. What does that tell you, right? That's not the Caribbean that we know, right? We argue, we disagree. I mean, and then what we do, we sit down and we drink some Mobby. We drink some,
The Jamaicans don't know what Mobby is.
Probably African.
I said that. I said that.
No, it's not that kind of drink, Reverend.
So that Stoke could explain it, But listen, right? What we do is we disagree, but we agree, right? We in the West Indies, we in the CARICOM region, we in this part of the world. We don't want everybody to see it our way. We want it to see it their way, right? Which if two of us end up seeing
Reverend
it
Dr.
our
Patrick
way, their way.
Only because of time, I'm going to ask you to give us a final word, because I think we're almost out of time already.
Sure. Let me just brief it down to real quick. We don't want war, but it seems like
we don't want war.
over
We
a period
don't
of time,
want war.
we don't want war. But over a period of time, our colleague in Venezuela is trying to bring us to war, whether ignorantly or deliberately. He is the one, I think, that started it. You cannot declare war
Have to
on
leave it there.
Guyana. You
Have to
can't
leave it
declare
there,
war on Guyana
gentlemen.
and we be quiet.
Have to leave it there. I won't comment on the regime change issue, but we have to leave it there. Reverend Dr. Patrick Tannis, Reverend Dr. Ross and Emma, thank you for your time and for your thoughts. Listeners and viewers, thanks for being with us in the first
My
watch.
pleasure,
Stay with
brother.
us as we head to the second watch. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Start your journey with a JN Small Business Loan with small business loans as little as $10,000 and up to $4 million. The time by JN Small Business Loan is
7:30.
This Christmas, unwrap the best price and treat yourself to a new smartphone. Get the Samsung A07 for only $6,750 or the ZTE B70 for only $7,375. All with GCT included, plus a free gift and a prepaid 28-day plan. Switch to Flow and share every Christmas moment with limitless TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp, calls, and texts. Flow. This is Jamaica's network. Visit a Flow store today while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Fresh and 24/7, you see. New Down Eaters, a softener with a scent for close your eyes. New Down Eaters, fresh and 24/7 with a scent that lasts. New Down Eaters, find it in your favorite store.
As a contractor, I never work without a plan.
As an electrician, protection is always a priority.
If you're a small business owner or an independent contractor, there's a plan that gives you protection and coverage. Sagicor Pro Shield. Get up to $1 million critical illness coverage and cover up to 80% of your medical costs for as little as $15,510 every 3 months. Get the protection you need with Sagicor Pro Shield. Call 876-936-7784. Conditions apply.
Are you a registered charity clearing charitable items during the holiday and in the new year? Here are some reminders from the Jamaica Customs Agency to assist you with your clearance. Ensure you have a valid copy of the Certificate of Registration from the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies, a letter of authorization if applicable, the signed special declaration, the bill of lading or airway bill, your packing list, your invoice or receipts, a valid tax compliance certificate, and the relevant permit and licenses where applicable. Also, ensure that shipments are consigned to the charity at the registered address and that donations for schools are consigned to the National Education Trust. For customs-related queries, you may contact Jamaica Customs at 876-922-5140-8 or email public.relations@jca.gov.jm. Jamaica Customs, keeping our customers in focus.
From me, I pick me what me eat and no it's I saw me know it's a Fosca ingrained in Jamaica. Hey, what's in a bag me know me not try.
Fosca, ingrained in Jamaica.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what the Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Daily Observer, this headline reads, "No piecemeal work. Government will take studied approach to rebuilding Black River, other seaside towns," says Green. That story by Dana Malcolm. Government Minister Floyd Green says the decision of how Black River and other vulnerable seaside towns devastated by Hurricane Melissa will be restored is to be made through expert analysis, envisioning sustainability. And we now turn to another story here in the Daily Observer, and this one is an item of sports. The headline, "Underdogs No More. Jam Rockers head coach speaks on coming of age of national basketball program." That story by Daniel Blake. And we now turn to the Gleaner, where we have another item of sports. Glenmuir High and Stets to battle for the Costa Cup football title. And Glenmuir High and St. Elizabeth Technical High Stets will clash in the 2025 ISA Da Costa Cup final after both schools booked their places with semi-final victories at Sabina Park on Wednesday. We look at another item of news here in the Gleaner, and this one is quite a different kind of story of concern. And ahead of time, I'll even say condolences again to the family. It reads, a memory that never leaves, a memory that never leaves. Family of murdered businessman outlines trauma of betrayal during sentencing hearing. And it goes as follows. 7 years after Jean-Pierre Rohn was brutally murdered and buried in a shallow grave, his family remains deeply hurt and haunted by his death, which they describe as a profound betrayal and a source of immense disappointment. I will not comment on the sentencing. I'm really reading the headline here as it is stated in the Daily Gleaner. And again, condolences to the family. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, of course, we'll read through some feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, how has this year changed how you see Christmas? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube, Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Fresh and 21st Avenue C. New down the Eaton. A softener with a scent for close your eyes. New down the Eaton. Fresh and 24/7 with a scent that lasts. New down the Eaton. Find it in your favorite store.
Get ready, Jamaica. A powerful move of God is coming on Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. It's Heal the Family, Heal the Nation, the 20th annual gathering and 6th National Day of Prayer. Join us at the Power Faith Ministries International Headquarters right here in Portmore, St. Catherine from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come and experience a full day of praise, worship, powerful prayers, and the undiluted Word of God. Be inspired by Genesis 50, Joseph's story of forgiveness, love, and restoration, and let God do the same in your family. Christians from every denomination, every walk of life, coming together as one to heal, forgive, and love as Christ loves us. Don't miss it. Mark your calendar. January 7th, 2026, 7 a.m. at PFMI HQ. It's Heal the Family, Heal the Nation. Visit pfmfamily.org or call 876-988-7638.
Run, we a run. Run, we a walk and we on a mission. Run, we a run. Lace up your shoes and take your position. Put on the Sigma S from your chest. Every stride, every step we bring out your best. No time to linger, no time to rest. Run, we a run, walk and wheel for the west.
Help build back the schools. Bring hope to the youth. If we plant the seed, we will all reap the fruit.
Let's help raise $150 million to repair and rebuild damaged schools in the West. Sagicor Sigma Run. Register now at sagicorsigmarun.com.
Run, we a run. Run, walk and wheel for the west.
The best kind of insurance is the one you don't have to think about, especially when you have more on your mind. With GK General Insurance, that promise is built in branch, online, or on the app. You get quick support and results you can rely on. Every interaction is designed to help you move life forward. For all the storms you've been through, we're there for you. Call 888-429-5454 or visit gk-insurance.com. Seamless, simple, certain. One GKGI.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall, now for your responses to our social media question, which is, how has this year changed how you see Christmas, Jakal?
All right, so we have Cherry from Spanish Town. Cherry says, for me, there is no difference. Christmas is a time of love, joy, and peace. We're sharing with compassion, with family, friends, and neighbors near and far with cash, kind, and prayer, celebrating the reason for the season. So no difference there for Cherry. Yes, those are responses.
Okay. Well, we thank all our viewers and listeners all the time for their comments on whichever platform you send in those responses, whether they're voice notes, text messages, as the case may be. We move right into the second watch. 2025 clearly has had its challenges, but there are also reasons to be happy, joyful, grateful. And there are stories that oftentimes slip under the radar because we might be focused on negativity and not remembering that there is a lot of good that is still taking place. And we have as guests this morning to take a look at some of these, whichever items or snippets of news or good news these are. We have Kevin O'Brien Chang, social commentator, and we also have Pastor Percival Palmer, associate pastor, Fellowship Tabernacle in Kingston, and current affairs commentator. Pastor Palmer, Mr. O'Brien Chang, good morning.
Good morning to you.
That's Pastor Palmer, yes. Mr. O'Brien Chang, are you with us?
Yeah, man, I'm here. Morning, everyone.
Excellent. Starting with you, Mr. O'Brien Chang. I don't know if there is any particular item of news you want to raise. I mean, if one were to do a search online, etc., you see quite a number of things. But what might jump out at you, Mr. O'Brien Chang, as a highlight for 2025 in terms of good news? Not bad news, good news.
Oh, the bad news? Oh, no, okay.
No, not bad news. Good news.
Well, if you ask me, there's only one issue that by far has dominated the psyche of Jamaicans this year positively. I mean, in fact, it's the biggest improvement in 30 years in the country's psyche, if you ask me, which is crime. For years, Jamaica had the highest murder rate in the world over a period of time. I think like about from 1989 to about 2022. Consistently, if you looked over that period, Jamaica had the highest murder rate in the world. And the last 3 years, we have seen a phenomenal decline in murders and crime overall. And this year, crime is down 40%. I think we're down about close to 50% in the last 3 years, and down 43% this year. And the impact on the Jamaican psyche has been tremendous. People feel a lot safer. Personally, for my instance, for example, I would say crime has been a factor because it would stay in your little area, right? But of course, that's not really living. But since the drop in murders, you don't feel unsafe driving anywhere in Jamaica anymore, almost anywhere. You feel fine. You take a wrong turn, you go into an area you're not sure of. In the past, you'd get scared. Now, you feel, hey, the gunmen are on the run. Formerly, we were running from the gunmen. Now the gunmen are running from the police. And it is amazing that the media has not talked more about this. I talked to a brand expert a few months ago. Somebody came down here doing a brand thing, and we were talking about Jamaica, and we talked about the positives, and we said, yes, you have all these positives, but you don't have a good brand rating at all because of the perception of crime. He said, with all the rave about Jamaica, this Jamaica, that when they interview people, crime is the biggest thing that comes out. And now we have murders down 50% roughly over the past 3 years. And the media hardly talks about it. Yesterday we had a newspaper with a front page about police killings. No, police killings are not necessarily a good thing, right? But it is not the highest rate of police killings ever. They talked about first time over 300, highest ever. Total garbage. We had 320 police killings in 2010. In 1984, we had 358. We're heading this year for maybe 300 or a little in that region. So police killings are nothing new. What is happening this year is the police killings and other factors have driven crime down to a level we have not seen in 30 years. the lowest murder rate since 1995. And the media continues not to highlight it. That I think it's the greatest social change in the last 30 years.
Mr. Branchang, only because of time.
I'll add to that afterwards.
Only because of time. We're up on the break already. We would like to also hear from Pastor Palmer. Listeners and viewers, please stay with us. We'll be right back at the Morning Watch.
The time by Grace Good Move is
7:45.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. The topic in this second watch is good news we may have missed in 2025. Our guests are social commentator Kevin O'Brien Chang and Associate Pastor, Fellowship Tabernacle Kingston, Current Affairs commentator Pastor Percival Palmer. Before we bring in Pastor Palmer, just want to finish up a thought here with Mr. Brian Chang. Mr. Brian Chang, you were speaking about the drop in the murder rate and that the media has not highlighted that enough. Continue.
And a related aspect is the attitude of the public towards the police. I mean, it's been amazing for someone to grow up in Jamaica over the years. And we had these whole songs about beat on Babylon and Beastman and all that. The police were seen as oppressors. And yes, there were police. The JCF was formed after the Morant Bay Rebellion in 1867. You know. Not to keep the people safe, but to keep them down.
I think he meant 65. I think he meant 1865. Anyway,
1865.
Yeah.
1867 it was founded after the Morant Bay Rebellion.
Sorry. I understand what you mean.
So the JCF was founded in 1867.
No, I understand what you mean now. Continue.
Okay, and I'm saying it for the first time ever, Jamaicans are seeing the police as partners and not oppressors and enemies.
Mm-hmm.
You talk to the police, you talk to people. I was talking to some police yesterday. Say, yes, we have no problem with the public at all. No. And one of the reasons crime is plummeting, the public feels very safe now in telling police what they know. You notice nowadays when things happen, bop, the JCF have them in. And the big crimes happen. Almost 2 days they have them in custody, or as they say, they have met their maker. They choose to meet their maker. You know what they're saying? You can meet a judge and meet your maker. And often we're seeing. So these are the two, I believe these are the greatest social changes we have seen in at least the past 30 years. And the media, I will say, is unconscionable in not highlighting this more.
Pastor Palmer, any items of good news that you would like to highlight? You can comment on what Mr. Brian Chang said as well, of course, but I don't know what jumps out at you in terms of good news, sir, for 2025. Pastor Palmer, are you muted, sir?
Yes. You're muted. Oh, you're hearing me? You're hearing me?
We're hearing you, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I reserve comment on what Mr. Chang has said.
Oh, Brian Chang. Yes, we understand. Yes, continue.
Yes. So Brian Chang has said reserve comment. I guess for somebody like me who is in the streets every day, interacting with people on a daily basis, as he said, interacting with the police.
Are you saying that Mr. Brian Chang is not interacting with people, sir?
I don't know. Yes, as the police have reported it, that murders are down by a significant amount. But there is still, when you interact with persons, in terms of how they see the police, I could relate personal incidents and so on in terms of what happens. But I think we want to focus on the good that has happened.
Good news
to our nation. Yes.
If you see any, Pastor Palmer, what good news you might see? Then let me frame it that way. What might?
No.
Good news.
No, but the good news that I have seen in terms of how we have responded to as a nation to Melissa in regards to persons just coming together to help. That is something that has been tremendous for me. And the help that continues to be out there in terms of those people saying, no, man. And that is what, as a youngster growing up in Jamaica, I am almost 60. So I've been through the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, all those different things. And that is something that was missing. So the general community spirit on a whole has been good, even with the GZN who they have said can be very selfish. They have just been mobilized, young people in the church just to help. You say, we help? They're gone. People on their own just helping. So that has been good. Another good news in terms of something personal that has happened was in the World Athletics Championship, in terms of Civil and what he did, overcoming what I call years of they calling my big flop, but eventually coming through. And then in the 110-meter hurdles, those two young men, Bennett and Mason, who just stuck with it. That speaks to our perseverance as a people, always being positive against all the different things that would want to say that we cannot achieve. And I think we can use what has happened in Melissa as I call it a flashpoint to mobilize us as a country to move forward, where it is Jamaica first in terms of the people and what will make what I call widespread prosperity, wealth for people, where it is not just a few people and those who know in terms of benefiting from the wealth that is there. So that is good news for me in terms of what has happened with Melissa and those two young men who have persevered, three young men who have persevered against the odds to achieve their dream. It must move to me from just being samples, but to being a general thing across our country in terms of what happens in education, what happens in terms of the economy and people, in terms of people just succeeding and feeling really proud to be Jamaican and don't feel that they're the back of the line. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Any other positives that you have seen for 2025 before
the response again with Melissa in terms of what has happened with the multilaterals, that yet needs to be worked out in terms of, we've spoken about the 6.7 billion that will come. Some of it is not free money, you know. But the fact that Brand Jamaica, people have responded to Brand Jamaica, I think is a very positive thing. And we need to use that in terms of fixing a lot of things. Our brand talks about 30 years. I think it goes beyond that in terms of where we went off track as a country, in terms of what we must do and should do to lift up the general population in Jamaica, not just a few. So they responded. The question is, how are we going to respond as a people? We need a vision. We need a vision that lifts up everybody and makes everybody feel like I am a person in this country. All right.
You are of the view that at the moment there is no common unifying vision? No,
there is not. There is not. Look at the politicians. Look at what is happening in the economy. There is not. There's nothing that says I'm proud to be Jamaican because so and so and so and so. You know, we need that right now. And I think Melissa provides us with an opportunity to fix things, not just talk about it, but really to fix things that it is better for Jamaicans generally across the board. Not a few, but every single person in this country.
Mr. Brian Chang, why do you think it's important to highlight good news even in the midst of other items of news that are not good news? Why do you think it's so important to do that?
I just want to add to what the pastor said about the help of the Jamaicans responding to Melissa.
Certainly, please go ahead. Sure.
That there's a Gallup poll Because a little before militia actually came out worldwide, 190 countries or whatever. And Jamaica ranked number 1 in helping strangers. And actually number 9 in volunteering. And it showed in militia how, Jamaicans are a very good-hearted people.
Mm-hmm.
They're very kind in responding to those in need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why is it important to highlight good news? That's just how life is. If you highlight the good, you will feel good. If you highlight the bad, you will feel bad. That's just the reality. It goes for individuals and it goes for countries.
Yes.
And no, there are certain things you have to highlight if they're bad. For example, when we used to talk about crime all the time, when we had the highest murder rate in the world,
yes,
of course you have to talk about reality. You can't pretty up facts, if they're bad enough. You never progress. If you try to pretend that you look on a color, this is purple and no, it's pink, how you're going to progress? You have to look at the problems and try to fix them. But you have to be realistic. And I mean, when I say realistic, if it's good, you call it good. If it's bad, you call it bad. Back in the day, when murders were high, you had a newspaper, you see every day, keep track. Oh, murder rate today, this and that, record high murders, right? And yet, I come back to the point, the media refuses to talk about the drop in crime. I just checked the figures since 2022. Murders are down 55% in 3 years. Now, if that is not good news, I don't know what qualifies as good news. And I can tell you, I talk to a lot of people on the ground, right? Personally. And the people are very, very happy, as you would expect, that about the murder fall, and they're feeling a lot safer.
Yeah.
And also the national polls have consistently shown over the last 30-something years since I came back to Jamaica from school, crime has always been the biggest issue, apart from COVID. So anyone who's going to tell me that the people don't see crime as the biggest issue, and then tell me that the people are not relieved and happy with the 55% decline in murders over the past 3 years, I said, well, I don't know who you're talking to, but I talk to a lot of people and I see the polls, and I know that is the people are jubilant, and that the police situation, it may not have gone from 0 to 100, but it is far, far better than at any time in the history of Jamaica. Never in the history of Jamaica have the relations between the JCF and the public been as good as they are today. I can bring up another couple of things. For one thing, which is
if
amazing,
you can
we
do
don't
so
talk
as
about it much.
quickly as you can, because
unemployment rate has plummeted. In 2015, it was 13.5%. It is now 3.3%.
Can you mention the other one quickly, because we're running out of time, sir?
Yeah, the big one was the debt to GDP ratio, and Pastor Palmer talked about we could get these loans and all that so quickly. And one of the big things was we had cut our debt from 150% or 130% to 60%, done by half. And that good financial management is what allowed us to get these loans so quickly.
I think we might have a few seconds left. Pastor Palmer, in 10 seconds, you want to say anything additional, because we're almost out of time, sir? A couple seconds. Mr. Pastor Palmer? I think he's muted. Is he muted? We're not hearing Pastor Palmer. Is there a challenge with Pastor Palmer's audio? He appears
good news is good news.
You have 5 seconds now, yeah. Pastor Palmer. Before
I said good news is good news, and the media needs to help in terms of that. And everybody who has an opportunity must speak about the good news. Not saying that there's not bad news, but the good news, build on it, because it helps in terms of the psyche of our people in regards to it.
That's an excellent way. That's an excellent way upon which to end, but we are completely out of time. Mr. Brian Chang and Pastor Palmer, I want to thank the both of you gentlemen for your time and for your thoughts.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being with us today. And thank you, listeners and viewers from all over the world, all across the world, for being with us today. Next year, 2026, is set to kickstart. The Morning Watch will kickstart 2026 with Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint. And of course, visit the Love 101 FM YouTube channel and Facebook page for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. Download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us today And always, we are the family station, Love 100 FM, the number one gossip station in Jamaica. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall. Hand it back to Love in the Morning with Chukal.